I know that all those executive directors out there and CEOs running these big nonprofits, their challenges are the same as the little guys. They
Yes.
need cash. And if you can help them get some cash in the door, you're very valuable to them and you're valuable to others.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Side Hustle Hero, the show that is laser focused on inspiring you to take action to start or to scale your side hustle income stream. I'm your host, Joan Posivy. This episode started because Elaine Allan and I were talking about her side hustle, and it struck me as such a meaningful win-win. She's helping causes she cares about and getting paid to do it through fundraising. My first reaction was maybe the same as yours. Fundraising? Really? As a side hustle? And the answer is yes. What we learned from Elaine is it's not just asking for donations. It encompasses so much more. Analyzing the organization's website, their messaging, crafting their stories, and how they communicate with their list, and turning all of that into something that actually compels people to give. So if you like the idea of using your skills to support a cause you believe in and be compensated for the value you create, Elaine's going to walk us through what's involved. The skill set required, what starter pricing can look like, and how to land your first client. Elaine is the founder of Inbox Impact, a communications and fundraising studio helping nonprofits raise money and grow their donor base. With just a few clients, she shows how someone can earn thousands of dollars a month, and if you enjoy it, you can scale it to full-time. Now here's my conversation with fundraising pro, Elaine Allan. Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
What does a typical fundraising project look like for you? From first client contact to final results. Walk us through that, please.
A lot of them are very basic business principles, and I do work with a lot of smaller organizations. I have a love for animals. I really love these animal rescue organizations that take animals out of these perilous situations. They get them to the vet, they fix them up, they rehome them. And I wish I could do that in my real life, and I can't. I live in the city. I have a condo. We have 2 rescue cats, which, take up a lot of our time, but I wish I could do it on a larger scale. So I really can't, but I can help those that are doing it. And by doing that, I try to help them raise some money so that they can become more viable and help more animals.
So when you say smaller organizations, are you talking about like a small team of volunteers locally that are running a nonprofit?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
You don't have large, big government funding going into those projects.
Right. So what does that flow actually look like on the ground? So you're either having a telephone call or you meet this person in their office, and then essentially you're finding out what their needs are, correct?
It's really based on my own experience. Again, even running very large organizations with big staffing rosters and lots of funding coming in, there's never enough cash, really. A lot of it happens online because we work in the online space a lot. A lot of the organizations, some of them might be located in my own city. Some of them are outside my own city. Some of them are far away. But what I want to know for the most part is how big is their email list? That's huge. I can usually go on my own and check out their social media. I can go online and check out their website. I can go online and try to make a donation through their donation links. Usually, I like to advise on how we can tweak all of those pieces to make them more profitable in the end in terms of getting people to donate to their causes.
Okay. So you mentioned the email list. Is there a bare minimum that's going to make it worthwhile? I suppose it depends on the quality of the list too, right?
The quality of the list is everything. I think in our world, we're so focused on, I've got 10,000 followers on my Twitter account, or I've got 500,000 people on my Facebook page that like me. But would those people put you up and let you sleep on their couch, if you were visiting their city? That's what my life is test. So I think sometimes numbers, it's good to have a good, robust email list. There's no question about that. But it doesn't necessarily mean everything. It's good if they have a few thousand to start with, because the other part of it is once you get rolling with them and when I start working with different charities, I can help them grow those lists.
Okay.
But you're right. The list it has to be a good list.
And is that typically your first stop, is reaching out to their existing email list?
It is, because if you were to look at return on investment, the ROIs, it's for every dollar you can make on a social media post through a donation, you're going to pull in 10 through an email if it's
Okay.
well done, sometimes
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So again, it's going to depend on the quality, but would you be looking at like minimum 1,000 names on that list? Something like that?
It's interesting. I worked with a wonderful rescue agency they're in a smaller community in our province, and they had a list of about 4,000 contacts. And when I was working with the person that runs it, she had been using a bunch of different softwares where the softwares will get all your contacts. Like, for example, there's a lot of softwares, I don't know if I should name them, but there's that you can use for free to do registration for events and you think, oh, this is great. I can do a registration. The software doesn't cost anything. These people get autoresponders telling them and reminding them. The problem is that you're not gathering those contacts into your email list.
Like Eventbrite when you're paying, I think I don't know, they charge $12 or something like that, minimal.
I didn't want to out anybody, but those are exactly what they are. And there's some ones that actually do in the donation in the charity space where they'll issue the tax receipt, they will register, they'll do all these pieces, but yet you as the entity that's trying to host all that, you're not growing and you're not creating sustainability in your practice because you're not getting all that new blood into your own contact lists for you to use later.
So if you're using something like Eventbrite, you're not given access to those emails?
It's laborious. You can go in and get them.
Okay.
But it doesn't go into your database automatically. And
they don't make it easy for you.
They don't make it easy. I think after a year, they start to delete. So if you forget about that, oh, geez, we had that great event and we had all those great donors. And if it's past a year, but yeah, you have to go in and grab all that. This lady I was working with, who's got a fabulous rescue agency, we were talking and I said, you're using these other softwares and where are those contacts? And she's really proactive. She said, well, let me go in and see what I can find. So we had done an email. Again, the email content is very important. You try to write a compelling, something that's going to pull on the heartstrings of your target audience for sure. The content is very important. She went in, she's very proactive. She found another 1,100 contacts through these different registration softwares, let's just say.
Yeah.
So, and then she resent the email that we had just sent out a week earlier to this new list, this 1,100.
Yeah.
So the first email we sent out to her existing list pulled in about $5,000. But when she sent out the second tranche to this new 1,100 that she had pulled in, that pulled in $4,300. So for a total of $9,300 for one email content for a small organization, that's very good return on the money. But so it just shows that some of those contacts, 1,100, produced as much almost as the 4,000 that she had in her existing list.
So you identify a organization that needs fundraising. You meet with them.
They all need it. You never have enough money. There's never enough money coming in. Never.
So I'm just trying to get a picture of the overall, what it looks like from the time you connect with them until it's a done deal. So what does that look like?
Well, I have to, because I'm an animal lover, I work with all kinds of nonprofits and all kinds of charities. And there's people doing phenomenal things with homeless and people that need food security. And there's all kinds of fantastic things happening out there. And I'm super proud to support them and help them in their missions. But of course, I'm an animal lover. So I'll just see something online. I'll be looking and I'll think, oh, I look at their website and I think it's a mess. And I think I'll get on their mailing list and I realize I'm not getting any emails from them. I'm not getting anything. So they're not being proactive that way. So I reach out to them and sometimes I have to make sure that they don't think I'm a crazy person, but I just say, look, I'm a professional fundraiser and I really want to help you. And a lot of times I'll reach out and say, I will help you pro bono. And then we'll have a conversation around what that might look like. And that might be a month or 2 or 3 months of just my services to help them. If I find that I'm helping them become financially viable, then we'll go into a business arrangement. And, that's where the side hustle comes in, definitely.
Right.
But a lot of times I reach out to organizations that I just think, oh, I really want to help them.
Sure. Okay. And you can say, because, for example, like you said, you're on the mailing list and you haven't been getting it. And here's some ways that I think we could really enhance your outward messaging to attract more donors So then you pitch them and then they say yes. I'm presumably draw up a contract and there's some parameters in terms of what your deliverables will be.
Yeah, it can be a little bit casual for the first one, depending
Okay.
on how big and small the non-pop shops are. You're dealing with people that are doing their rescuing and they're trying to coordinate volunteers and they're trying to keep the money coming in. So try to make it as easy as possible for them. And once we move forward, then it would make sense to say, look, we need to have an agreement here. And again, it's one that we can get in or out of within 30 days. It's very low barrier and low stress.
All right.
But just to put a placeholder in so that they can keep their money coming in. They get used to the money once it starts coming in.
And they want to keep you around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to give us an idea of what the role of a fundraiser looks like. So at that point, when you've met with the client, then it sounds like it would be a variety of things. You might be tweaking their website. You might be crafting a certain email sequence. What are the pieces that you have to do?
It's all of those. Think about running a business. You want to grow your list. The bigger the list, the better. So again, I'll just give that example of the lady that I had worked with, the 4,000 and then the extra 1,100 clients. I was saying to her, so now you see the benefit of growing your list. So let's work on list building pieces. And a lot of that can be done through social media. Harder to get donations produced off the social media feeds, but very easy to get contacts. People are willing to give you their contact information if they are willing to follow you on a social media feed. And also just often giving them some business lessons on payment gateways. Some of them are very expensive. Some of them take a big gouge out of what you're bringing in.
Okay.
And so depending on where they're located and what we can have available to them, I advise them on all of those things because you want to keep your costs as low as possible.
Right.
You want to bring in as much money as possible.
Okay. And so how is that structured then fee-wise? Would that be a straight percentage of how much you bring in, or is that a flat monthly rate type of thing plus a percentage? How would that work?
I have found it very difficult to work with the percentage piece because depending on the charity that I'm working with, I don't have access to their back end. So it's hard for me to really monitor what's coming in. I often rely on them to say, I can see what the click-through rates are oftentimes on the CRM systems, but it's harder sometimes to access what's going into their bank. So I find flat fees work better. And I want them to be very open with me. If they're having a bonanza on an email that we have sent out and it's really converting in terms of donations, I don't want them to not be honest with me and tell me how much they're bringing in. I'm excited if they're bringing in a lot of money. And I do have a rate scale and I keep it very affordable for them. But again, as a side hustle, it's a good practice for me too, because it keeps me in the side hustle world. I love it.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm glad we're having this conversation because when I think of fundraisers, I think of a person knocking on doors, whether that's through an email or a cold call. But I'm getting a picture here that it involves a lot more, all those pieces that you mentioned. And that really speaks to the need for that flat rate as you are developing the list and tweaking the website and crafting
Tweaking
the
the
messaging.
websites, images are very important. It's amazing how you can have a really well-crafted email that tells a compelling story. It's not too long. It's got but the graphic that's inside, that's embedded, very important. So I really spend a lot of time making sure that whatever goes out to me it's beautiful looking. It's going to capture the imagination of the reader, and it's going to compel them to donate.
And the story or stories is so key to that, isn't it?
It's so true to that. And it's like anything else. You can have a great story and you think, okay, this is great. Let's map it out for next month. We'll do something. We'll try to, and it doesn't convert. Sometimes things don't convert as usually they will pull in money. They'll pull in a few $1,000s, but if you're hoping that it's going to pull in 10,000 as the month earlier, sometimes it's just trial by error. And so the longer I work with an organization, I can learn more about their list and what their list is interested in. But sometimes you don't always get it 100%.
And again, it's probably going to depend on the client and their organization, but how much of a runway should somebody be giving themselves until they see those results?
Right away. We want to see that right away.
Okay.
You want to be able to pull in the money right away. There's nothing worse than trying to get a charity that's trying to do good work to spend money when they're not getting anything in return.
Right.
And I want to make sure that I can provide my services. So I often, especially with the smaller guys, I'll do a pro bono piece with them for 1 month just to make sure that we're a good fit. The other thing is to
Okay.
make sure you're a good fit with the people you're working with. Not everyone, likes working with the people that they work with. I've had very good relationships, but I think it's good to have a tester.
So if you're thinking of offering your services pro bono for a month, then would the expectation that beginning conversation be, I typically work with clients for minimum 3 months or 6 months, something like that. But I will do this first month and we'll check in with each other as we go.
Yeah, I want a lot of check-in. As a matter of fact, that is a requirement that I have, especially if we're doing email marketing, because what I have learned in my practice is the time of day you send out the email, the day that you send it out, where in the
Okay.
months, the calendar, it really matters when you send them out. So I want to know what come in the first hour. I want to know the second hour. I want the third hour. I want half day. I want the end of the day. And so if I'm going to work with a client, I want them to be open to giving me that information as it comes in, because it tells
Right.
me a lot about their list.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Well, given your strong background in fundraising, what do you see are the key skills that a person would need to be successful at this?
Well, again, you want to be as professional as possible. Anytime you're asking for money, think about it in the business world. You'd want to have very well produced content. You'd want to make sure everything was delivered. It just goes without saying, you would want to have very well produced content. But to capture the attention of someone and for them to pull out their wallet and make a donation, you really have to appeal to something that maybe is a little bit deeper. And in the case of, let's just take these animal rescue, we have people on the list that they love animals. That's why they're on the list. So we really want to make sure we touch their heartstrings. But again, you want to be very professional. And in the perfect world, you have software set up that the minute they make a donation, that donor gets a tax receipt and they get a thank you email, like it's in an autoresponder situation, because we're also wanting to develop a relationship with that donor, because I want to make sure that we send to them regularly and that they donate to us regularly.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah.
So talk to us more about the business model then. You've been at this for a long time, so I could see you charging a flat rate from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any scenario where a beginner just starting out would do the percentage route as a way to get their foot in the door, or maybe that first month pro bono would be a better bet? What do you think?
Depends what you're doing. Fundraising, yes, you could easily do a percentage. If you were to host an event, for example, it's very easy to see ticket sales. It's very easy to see how much product was sold. Those are very easy metrics to measure. And they say, look, we made $1,000. I was going to take 10% or 20% of that. That's a very easy scenario in which to have a percentage part going through. And then certainly in the larger, so if you are going to go out and say, look, let me find some larger donors. I've got some people in my Rolodex that I think would be good for your charity. And these people can write sizable checks. That's where you go into, at least in my world, that's where you go into a percentage, because I'm going to be handling the money and I'm going to be handling the donation in that way. But through
Right. Okay.
the e-commerce space, I like just the flat rate.
Okay. And can you give us a range for a beginner, what that would look like in terms of dollars?
So for me, when I'm working with some of these smaller animal charities that are doing these rescues, I don't charge them very much. My rates are up on my website. I will, for a first month, just for very easy things, I'll charge them $3.99 a month. That's not a lot of money. And if we can pull in $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 or $7,000, that's very good return on the money. Again, maybe over time that will morph into my fee going up, because I do have a rate at $7.99. I'm doing $11.99, depending on the volume that we're doing. And then I can make arrangements with some of these people that are running, these people that are running, and I know this because I did this myself, they're running bigger organizations. Some of them have millions and millions of dollars coming in, and they need coaching. They were brought in, maybe they've been in the job for 3 years, 5 years. Some of them are much longer term employees of these organizations. They're the head, and their skill set hasn't caught up in terms of where the markets have gone. Their funding is probably somewhat stale in terms of it's not growing from governments. Everyone's tightening their belts these days. And for me to be able to come in and coach someone who's running an organization and to teach them how they can become much more adept at bringing in more money to their organizations, I like to do that coaching piece as well.
Well, given your strong background in fundraising, what do you see are the key skills that a person would need to be successful at this?
If you're a good writer and you like writing good copy, good content, that's very useful. If you like software and you like fiddling with software as I do, I love CRMs and I love payment gateways. I love all that. And if you have any knowledge of that, it's very, very helpful. If you are able to understand an audience, again, different charities have different people on their mailing lists for different reasons. You can end up on a mailing list for someone that's running a homeless shelter because you went to maybe a high-end ticket event where they were, I don't know, being sponsored by a larger entity. And at some point, it's just very important to be able to understand who's on the list. And I know when I'm working with charities that help animals, I know you're dealing with people that love cats, they love dogs, they love horses. And if you can produce content and good visuals for those audiences, those convert.
So the copywriting piece, a little bit of tech savvy goes a long way.
It goes a long way. And if you have the ability to learn new softwares and to learn new, because I find it almost every week I'm having to figure out how to work a new CRM.
And let's not get started on AI and how that changes by the second.
I love AI.
Well, for someone to land their first nonprofit client, would your advice be to focus on a sector that they really resonate with, that they have a passion for? Because I'm thinking the chances are they would already have some contacts and I guess understand the perfect donor, the avatar.
Okay. That's exactly what I would suggest. I did a lot of volunteer work for an organization in my city.
Okay.
And what I found was that I had made them about $70,000 or $80,000 through email donation asks.
Wow.
With about 7 or 8 emails. And I realized that there was a business there because clearly I used to run these organizations. And I know that if anyone could come to me and say, look, I can bring you $10,000 a month. Now you would give them, you were willing to pay that person to do that. So that's, yeah, definitely.
Hmm. And I suppose that you could put in, again, I'm thinking more for someone that's trying to gain a reputation in this space, put in some sort of a performance requirement, like they will raise X number of dollars, or no?
Listen, everyone's got their own skill set. I know myself because I ran these organizations for so long. I know how hard it is. And I know that if I reach out to almost any executive director running a big nonprofit right now, I would say to them, what about your salary? What about your raise? And it's like, well, things are tight and we've only got so much funding. But if you're running now, you've got more employees, you've got more challenges in the marketplace, you're doing an excellent job, like you deserve a raise. You should be raising money and going to your board and saying, look, this isn't money that's attached to a government funder. This isn't attached to a foundation that's got very strict requirements on how we spend it. This is putting cash into our organization. And maybe that's something you can bargain with in terms of giving yourself a raise, or maybe your employees, or maybe you've got some travel budget now that you didn't have before, or maybe you've got the ability to rent some office space that you didn't have before, or a facility to expand your operation. I know that all those executive directors out there and CEOs running these big nonprofits, their challenges are the same as the little guys.
Yes.
They need cash. And if you can help them get some cash in the door, you're very valuable to them and you're valuable to others.
There was a contract that I looked at recently. It wasn't fundraising, it was sponsorship, which is, I guess, like a sister to that. And the fee was X number of dollars a month. And then when they hit a certain sponsorship target, anything over and above that, they took an additional, I think it was 10% or something like that. Is that a thing with fundraising as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's very hard for them to say no to you when you're bringing in the money. It's like when you're the bagman. That's the term they use in some fundraising circles. It's very hard. Although I have had clients that I've worked with that say, I can do what you do. I don't need you. They think what you're doing is so easy, and that's okay. And so that's fine. And then what happens? It has happened. They've come back and said, we're sending out the emails, but we're not getting the money in. The market is dead now. And I'll say, well, I'm on your mailing list. I've been reading what you've been sending out, and it's terrible. Of course, it's not converting. There's a real art and a science to making a compelling, it's a compelling ask. Like, you're asking for help, and you're asking people to help you often with their money. And it's an art and it's a science. And it's interesting when people think, oh, you do that. Well, go ahead. Let me see. Let's see. Because the bottom line is, like, if you can pull the money in, then you can do it. If you can't, or if you're not pulling in as much as you think you should be, that's where you need an expert. And that's where people can get the side hustle. If you know how to do this, and you've been raising money. And a lot of people have worked for charities, and you don't have to have been the person that was heading it up. A lot of times, if you have been working for a nonprofit, you've had to be responsible for helping that organization put on an event or fill the event, or there's so much to it. And turns out you have a lot of knowledge, a lot more than you think if you worked in those environments.
Yeah. And if I was going into this too, I'd pay particular attention to any marketing piece or anything that was pitched to me to donate and see the ones that I really resonated with. Okay, why is this getting me to send them an e-transfer, send the money? What are the elements? And like you said, you've already mentioned a number of things, including the visuals and the story. And
let me just tell you this too. I worked with this one organization that I did a lot of volunteer work for, and I raised quite a lot of money for them. And this is where I thought, gee, this is a side hustle here. I never realized it. I thought I would just do this as a volunteer. But when I started working with them, I asked them about their email list, and they had about 10,000 contacts, and they were going to delete them because they were old. And I said, well, how old? And they said, well, some of these are 20 years old. And I said, well, don't delete anything. Please don't delete any of your contacts. Let's just see what happens. And when we sent out, we raised about $7,000 or $8,000. And happened
off that list that they deemed old? Okay.
That they were going to delete. Yeah. Actually, someone in the organization wanted them to delete it because they had it in like a software system, a CRM, that was costing them $30 a month to keep going. And they kept thinking, oh, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. And I'm like,
$30 a month. Yeah.
So anyway, so at that point, when that came in, and then there was some of the emails they didn't work anymore. And there were some unsubscribes. And I think when we cleaned it up, the list went down to about 7,000. But that was, some of those names on there were 20 years old. But this was an organization that helps a certain kind of animal. And I thought to myself, no, if you love these animals, it doesn't matter if 20 years has gone by, you're still an animal lover. Like, that would never change. So if you've got those people on your list, they can be your retirement fund.
They could be with you a long time.
Definitely.
Well, potentially the sky is the limit for earning ability when you're dealing on a commission basis, if that was part of your package with the client. But what do you feel would be the earning potential for someone doing fundraising as a side hustle?
So starting off small, again, I didn't realize that this was a business model until I had done it. And I realized I was earning so much money for this charity, and good for them. They're a fantastic charity. We adopted one of our animals from them, and it's great. I'm glad I was able to help them. But I realized there was a business there. And so I would say that, again, if someone was just starting out, find an organization, find someone in that organization that says, yeah, I'll give you a chance. Because for me, what I did with some of the pro bono people I said, just give me a testimonial for my new website.
Okay.
And they were willing to do that because they had nothing to lose. And I said, look, if you don't like working with me, or if it doesn't work out, you don't have to give me a testimonial, but I think I can help you. And so they were happy to help. And from there, you can start figuring out what your packages are. I have mine on my website. Anyone is welcome to go look to see what that is. And again, sometimes customization is a big deal. And I do have clients that I do work with that way because they need a little bit more of my time time in terms of helping that person grow in their role, in addition to pulling in the money for their organization.
And hearing you talk about the animals, clearly that makes your heart sing. So we won't tell them this, but you would be doing it for free anyway.
Well,
So
I did. And I
right.
raised a lot of money for some of these charities. But again, it's a side hustle. You can make some money off the side of it yourself. And listen, the other part of it, putting it into a business arrangement where you are a person that they're going to pay to do this every month, it stabilizes their organization, and it takes a huge amount of stress off the people that are trying to run the organization and get the money in. If you have this money coming in on the side, a lot of times it's just not their skill set. And if you were there with, look, every month or whatever you deem is reasonable for their list, some you can do more often, some you have to do less often. But it stabilizes a business principle of bringing in money let's just say every month, because I like to work monthly off monthly revenue and so on. And it just takes a big load off them. And, if you get your foot in the door and maybe you're not charging them that much initially, but you see how profitable it is, it's easy to go back and say, look, I want to go up to this other rate, because at this point you can do a return on. I went to one of my clients and I said, look, my return on investment with you guys, for every dollar you guys spend on me, you're making $11.
Wow.
So my rate is going to go up. And
they don't want to lose you.
As I said, I had one client that said, oh, I can do this. This is easy. This is no problem. I said, okay, well, I wish you very well. And I do wish them well.
Of course.
And please let me know how it works out. But it is an art and science, and not everyone can do it.
Well, you mentioned monthly revenue. You're not reaching out to the same donors every month, correct?
You can, because what happens with a donor list? Let's say we have, 4,000 or 5,000 people or 10,000 people on a list. Bigger is better, of course. When we have established it's a clean list, it's a good list. If you can write content that's newsworthy and it's of interest to that audience, they don't mind hearing from you. You're not constantly saying, give me money. Hi, it's us again. Give us money.
Right.
Maybe there's something that happened in the news that affects this sector that they're interested in, and you've got some interesting piece to them. If you come to your donors regularly with information that's of interest to them, they'll stay subscribed, and maybe every so often they donate to you. Maybe every time they donate to you. Maybe only once a year they donate to you, but they keep you and they keep opening your emails because they want the content that you're providing to them.
That makes sense.
Content's everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they don't, the person receiving those marketing pieces, is that what you call it?
Well, it's an art, it's the science. Sure, it's a marketing piece.
Yeah.
Sure it is. Okay. But listen, like there's some horrible problem and it's affecting, let's just say, some animals that you love. And here's this fantastic charity that you support, and they're there solving this problem. And to keep this going, we could use a little money. They'll support you.
Well, what do you see as the biggest obstacle or challenge for someone wanting to offer fundraising as a side hustle?
They don't take it as a business. You need to, even though you're working with charities, you're working with nonprofits, you yourself are a business. So number one, go out and open a separate bank account for the revenue that you're going to be bringing in. Don't put it into your regular banking and so on. Really start thinking of yourself as a professional entity. Get a separate credit card. When you're having to buy things for your startup, when you're having to maybe get some softwares every month, that's the one expense that I find I have the most, is with monthly subscriptions to softwares and so on to keep my practice going. But it should all be clean. It should all be in one place. Talk to an accountant about tax planning for the revenue you'll be bringing in. Talk to an insurance broker if you need to get insurance for what you're doing. And start treating yourself as a business, but you're helping nonprofit, you're helping charities.
Awesome. Where do you see potentially insurance being required?
It could be the place you're working in. It could be place. Again, I'm not an insurance person, but insurance people fascinate me. It's a sector I don't know very much about, but I'm always amazed at how much they know. So I just say, just go talk to an insurance person. Just tell them what you're doing and just see if there's something, if there's an errors and omissions insurance you should have. I don't know.
Just to cover yourself.
Just to cover. Yep. Just cover yourself. Treat yourself as a business.
And you mentioned softwares. What are some of the ones that you would use or recommend typically in this business?
Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of new softwares in terms of in the fundraising space. And you can go to a client and say, look, I have the platform. I love a software called Donor Perfect. Donor Perfect is wonderful. It allows you to send out the emails. It's got the CRM platform. It allows you to automate thank you notes. It allows you to send out the tax receipts as soon as someone has made a donation. It's just a fantastic software. There's a couple of them that are very good.
Okay.
That's one of them. And if you get a larger professional subscription, I could go to a charity and say, look, you don't need to buy this subscription. That can be part of what my fee for you would be, is that I will use my software and all of this will be taken care of. And think about how you're providing a one-stop shop. I'm going to pull money in for you. I'm going to give the donation receipts to your donors. I'm going to thank them for you. What's not to like?
Yes. Yeah. Especially if you're doing your job and they're bringing in way more than you're charging them.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, again, if you go with solving all their problems, they'll love working with you. You'll get lots of clients, believe me.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us some insider tips, do's and don'ts when reaching out to a prospective client? Perhaps in that first pitching phase or maybe even the contract fee negotiation?
I wouldn't offer my services pro bono to organizations that have big budgets. They won't respect you coming in and trying to help. And yet, I do know that those people running those organizations, because I used to run them, they need help. They have so many things they have to look after and that they have to be on top of, and they have to bring the money in. And it's hard to do all that. So have a good pitch to say, look, I understand your organization. I know that I can help you. And maybe go in and pitch to say, look, we need 3 months. We need to send out our first maybe email ask and get those things going. I want to advise you on your website or your donation page, at least on the website. Some of them have big, heavy websites, but
sure,
you want to be able to just drill down on, this is your donation page. This is your payment gateway. I want to be able to help you all the way through. So maybe go in small with a 3-month proposal. And then if it works out, then maybe get them to sign on for longer.
Nice. Well, what's been one of your most rewarding projects where you really saw the impact of your work on an organization's success?
There's so many. It's, again, you can go to the little guy that's trying to help animal in distress. And of course, anytime that you get a good story back to say, look, as a result of working with you, we had the money to pay the vets. Someone brought in a dog that was hit by a car and was a couple $1,000s at the vet. They'll normally put those animals down if they can't find the owners. And then to have this great success story, and then the animal is healed and then gets a forever home. That's something so loving when that happens. Sometimes when you're just people that are in more senior roles maybe get overlooked, but a lot of times they're doing a fantastic job and no one ever tells them they're doing a fantastic job. And to be able to help them take some of the stress off.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that work that I do is really behind the camera. No one wants to see. No one who I'm helping wants other people to know that I'm helping them.
Okay.
Everything has to look very seamless.
Yeah. You're like the magician in the background.
Hey, that's what we do.
What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, Elaine?
Check out my website, inboximpact.ca.
Okay.
And just drop us a line. We'd love to help you and reach out. We'd love to hear from any of your listeners.
Fabulous. And we'll definitely drop that link in the show notes.
Thank you so much.
So what's your best tip to inspire others to start and grow their side hustle dream?
You've just got to look at the talents that you have. And if you are a person who already has a job, chances are your very best talents aren't always being used at all times. But you can do that with your side hustle. There's no limitations. And you can develop into any area of business that you want to. The side hustle world is the best way to go. And you never know where it's going to land you. Maybe that's something you maintain while you have your regular 9-to-5 for many years, and it pulls in a salary all into its own, and that improves your life. But maybe it takes your career into a whole new area.
That's true. You can end up actually creating a full-time business out of it.
Oh, absolutely. You could, and this is what I do very easily. You could do full-time, more than full-time.
Well, thank you so much, Elaine, for sharing your insights on how to build a fundraising side hustle, one that not only creates an additional revenue stream, but also lets you contribute to something deeply meaningful. And of course, thank you for being today's Side Hustle Hero.
Oh, it's been so great being with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
If you're listening to this and thinking, I could actually do this, that reaction matters because you probably can. And the beautiful part is you don't have to build a big consulting practice or quit anything. You can begin by helping one organization that you really care about. Here's a simple way to start. Before the end of the day, write down 3 causes that genuinely matter to you. Then go look at how each one is currently communicating. Their donation page, their last email campaign, their social posts. And ask yourself, would this compel me to give? If the answer is no, and you see exactly what you do to change it, that's the value you bring. And remember, fundraising as a side hustle is not begging for money. It's applying business skills, writing, messaging, systems, conversion thinking to help mission-driven organizations survive and thrive so that they can keep doing their vital work. They need that expertise, and they'll pay for it. This isn't just extra income. Every dollar you earn also moves a mission you believe in. Not many side hustles can do that. If you decide to test this with even one charity, reach out and let me know what your first step was. I'd love to hear how you put this in motion. Well, that's a wrap for today. If our chats are sparking your entrepreneurial spirit and providing valuable insights, consider showing your support by visiting sidehustlehero.com/support. That's where you can shoot me a virtual coffee. It's a real thing and a fun way to give the show a caffeinated thumbs up. Thank you so much. In the episode description, you'll find a link to Elaine's website and our full show notes, which live at our website, sidehustlehero.com. And while there, be sure to grab a copy of my 28-page guide called Smart Start, From Idea to It's Live in 7 Steps, a beginner's guide to launching your side hustle with confidence. It's free for now, but not forever, at sidehustlehero.com. If you're enjoying what you're seeing in this podcast, it would be so appreciated if you would take a moment and share the episode, add a comment, and please subscribe. It'll let others know that there's valuable content here to help them start and grow their side hustle. Thanks for watching, and hustle on.